Okay, well, let's get going. I know we could chat. Most of us have been in the industry, obviously, for a while. So, Ryan, why don't we jump in? As I said earlier,
Yeah,
I'll just thank you for coming on. And a
thank
quick
you for
intro.
inviting me.
Absolutely. Ryan and I have known each other for many years, although we often only meet like these kind of occasions.
I, I think I've met you in person once.
Just one time, I found a picture the other
Yeah,
day.
it was in the Netherlands. In
Correct.
fact, I have met very few Joomla people. I'm
Yeah.
quite recluse. So.
And so just to introduce Ryan, of course, he's the author of JCE, which is an extremely popular editor for Joomla. Although in recent years you've got some competition. For many years, I think you had zero. So now you have a few, at least one other editor in the business. So maybe you'll tell us a little bit about that. But it's great to see, obviously, JCE. It's the first extension that goes on all of our sites. Back when I was building regular sites, it is the number one extension at Watchful. If I'm not mistaken, was the last time I checked. And Ryan, you're going to talk to us today about JCE hidden secrets and upcoming
Yeah,
features. So it's
yeah,
casual, just we can just talk back and forth. But
sure.
yeah, let's just dig into it and see where we get.
Yeah, a bit of a silly name, I suppose. Title the secrets of definition hidden, but I don't know if anyone remembers that Brian Tiemann used to tour a talk on in a similar vein. I just thought I would pick up and look at some of the stuff that people who use JC kind of you might know, but also little features, little things that I've put in over the years, user requests, or just like a great idea I've come up. Well, I think it was a great idea I've come up with, and just things to make things a little bit easier for people, things you might
Sure.
not realize exist in the extension as well. Obviously not the obvious things, but and then I think I'm doing a release next week, and there's a couple of things that I'll show you that are in there, which are quite interesting. And then I'm going to give you, this is like, it's not that exciting, but it's sort of like the first preview of stuff I've been working on for like forever,
Sure.
which is supposed to be the next generation stuff, but it's kind of like nuclear fusion. It's always 50 years away, this sort of thing. So this version is kind of like that. But I'll just give you a quick overview of some of the stuff that's in there. And so I'm actually just going to share my screen, if that's okay, and just start off by showing you a couple of things.
Yeah, I've made you a co-host, and just so everyone's aware, this will be recorded and shared, hopefully widely. So, just with that in mind, let's see what you got.
Okay, let's see if this works. I've not used this before, by the way. I think this is the second time I've ever used Zoom, so this may go terribly wrong. I may embarrass myself horribly, but we'll give it a crack.
Probably impossible, Ryan.
So let's have a look here. So now this is just your, obviously, Joomla 4. We all know that. And one of the things I'm just going to show you quickly is the first feature. It's just going to pop up straight away when I create a new article. Hopefully, I'm just going to refresh this just to make sure everything's working okay. There we go. It doesn't get logged out. And I'm just going to hit new article there. And bam, we open up. It's a new article, but we've got some content in there already. So one of the features that's been in for a little while, a few months maybe, is a startup content feature. And I'm just flipping through to edit profiles here in the edit parameters advanced tab, where I've got a file, an HTML file here that contains some content, can be anything, absolutely anything at all. And so starting up, you've got the content in there. So it's a great way to let boilerplate things for your users, for your clients or whatever. I'm not sure if anyone knows that exists, but there you go. And secondly, you might notice that some of the toolbars are missing. And that's because this little down over here, toggle toolbars button, which is not in by default, by the way, because if I did put it in by default, I'd get endless emails asking me where their toolbars have all gone. And I still do when people start up with JCE and they put all the buttons that are available into the toolbar, that one included, and then wonder why it's hidden for the other toolbars, because that's what it does. You click it and you can show all the toolbars. So another great one for setup for your clients where you want them to have a simplified toolbar to start and then be able to access the full range of stuff after that.
Ryan, can I ask you a question about that?
Sorry?
Do you mind if I ask you a question about that?
Yeah, sure.
So if I've created a profile, are you going to show us profiles today?
I can do, yeah.
No, but
it's just it's the backbone of the editor, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to steal your thunder. So if I create a profile, like say for I've often done one for mobile users, so they get a less detailed experience of just a few kind of things that aren't too hard to do on mobile. Will I be able to add this toggler also?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, you should only add it when you want to use it, because it will immediately hide all the other buttons. So you put it wherever you want. It exists in the TinyMCE editor in a sense. It's a three dot thing. I think it's in Joomla 4 it's there by default. It's a similar concept. I think that it's one in WordPress as well. I think it's called Kitchen Sink in WordPress.
Oh, so I can drag this button to any. I see. I can put it in any profile I like.
Yeah, you put it. Well, I mean, this point is putting it in the last row because it hides the row below. That's what it does. So if you want to put it there, and it'll hide those ones.
Right.
And then you put it there, and it'll hide that one over there. Or you can put it at the top, and it'll hide all the ones below it.
It's an interesting.
It's a way to kind of keep things clean. Like you want to put like table stuff down there, hidden. You don't want to see all that stuff until you need it.
Special characters, or the less common tools, right?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So and there's another little tool here that you can use to kind of condense things a little bit. This one over here, this Joomla icon. So you can notice here there's no buttons below the editor, which there usually are with JCE. The editor extended buttons that you get below, the Joomla ones. So this thing, you add that guy to the toolbar anywhere, and it hides those and brings them into a menu here. So that's just a way to keep things a little bit more compact. Again, I think the core editor does that now as well. It's needed in something like SP Page Builder because they don't support the buttons. Sorry, I'm pointing and I'm expecting you to. They don't support the buttons below the editor. So if you're using SP Page Builder and you want access to those in JCE, you're going to need that Joomla button. That's another way just to keep the whole layout there quite clean. Okay, I just wanted to flip through some of the other things as well, like content creation stuff. This one over here, I don't know if anyone's familiar with the Create Columns button or the Columns button. This was added maybe a year or two, I don't know, ago. And this was prompted by a user who was desperately trying to create a site but had no idea what he was doing. He's one of those guys who would use all the font tools and make everything the colors that he wanted to, overriding all the templates and all that stuff. But, he was doing his best, and so he was struggling with layouts. I think everyone has a problem page builders will do it for you, where you've got like your text on the left and a nice image on the right, and then it's responsive and all that other stuff. It's quite easy to create these grid-like layouts. And so this tool is created to do that. And basically what it does is create responsive columns horizontally at variable width, so they respond to the size of the page. And I'll just show you quickly. And one of the ways that you can just do it quickly, so you've got existing content like this, is I'm just going to select that all. I'm going to click the columns button, and it's already decided to create 2 columns because I've got 2 paragraphs. I'm just going to set the stack width to small, so that's the point at which it's going to stack vertically. I can create a layout here. Let's put 112. It's going to change the columns to 3 there because my layout is for 4 columns. And I'm just pressing insert. Now you've got these responsive columns here. Just do that. You can see they're going to stack to a certain point. Now these will use CSS, Flexbox, and stuff like that. That's included with JCE. System plugin will make this available to the front of your site. But if you're using Utheme's UIKit or with template like that uses that, I think that's the Utheme templates, and I think the Asteroid framework uses that, or Bootstrap. You can change in the parameters here for columns. You can set up, find it. Where are you?
I'm glad you also have this experience because I'm also in the plugin parameters for JCE saying, where's that parameter?
Yeah, I need to, some kind of search would be on. So there you can set what CSS framework you're using, so Bootstrap. And what that will do is when you save, it will convert the internal class names that it uses to display this into the relevant Bootstrap or UIKit ones. So in your front end of your site, you use those to display correctly. So that's a nice way to create like little content blocks and things you can add and remove as well.
Ryan, little question or comment. You've got 9 minutes remaining in your session. I was just going to ask you if...
show you a couple of more things.
Okay, go ahead.
So here, I'm going to just do an example of like drag and drop. I don't know if anyone knows you can do this. You can just drag an image and upload it into a... Okay, anyway. And then a new thing that's existed for a little while, just to create a caption. You can use the figure tag.
Nice.
Right, so people like to use figure to create captions on images because it's semantically correct. But now you just write a caption, and that will stay in there. There we go. And you can also now edit it with the existing caption tools. If you're familiar with the caption tools that JCE has, where you can create other captions, you can now edit the figure with that. Okay. And I'm just going to get rid of that. And I'm not going to add another column there, but I'm just going to show you one more thing. We can YouTube. We can just copy that URL, paste it in there, and the YouTube video is displayed there. You don't have to do anything, you just do it, and we'll take the standard settings for that specific video from via OEmbed and YouTube, so you get exactly how it's supposed to be displayed. You can, of course, also add the figure tag to that. There we go. Now, one of the things that can happen with something like, oops, that's a mess. I don't know if people are familiar with a block trap, kind of an unusual term, but if I'm in this columns, which is a div, by the way, so people who like to create their own content with nested structures like divs and paragraphs, one of the problems with that is that you are forever stuck in that div. You can't get out. If there's no content below it that you can click to, so you get stuck in that kind of structure. So there's a keyboard shortcut for that. It's Control-Alt-Enter, and you can get yourself out of that into a new paragraph. It's very useful or Control-Alt-Down arrow. That's something useful that you might...
Ryan, do you publish your keyboard shortcuts?
That is in the documentation.
Oh, great.
There's a keyboard shortcuts page, which lists that.
Fantastic.
Let's see, let's go into something else. All right. Victor, you said if you like to create things for mobile users, you might want a simplified image manager with a relatively few options. So in the standard image manager, you've got image manager and image manager extended. So in the standard image manager, you've got the use basic dialog option, which you can set to yes. And then an option is available where you want to include a file browser for that.
Wow.
And so what you get is that. Nothing but the URL and a description, which is the alt tag. And if I've allowed the file browser options, then I can upload a file. So I can select to upload there like that. Or I can drag something into that. And of course, you can launch the file browser itself. Okay, which takes us to this bit. We'll have a little bit of a look here. So when I have uploaded one of those images, I have in the parameters set the remove exif option, which is very useful. It's down here in the edit parameters file system. Hey, people may not know, but when you go and take pictures with your camera, it includes all your location information and all this other stuff up in the metadata of the image, and we don't really want that displayed, because if you put an image on your website that you've taken at your house with your exif, with your location information on your phone, people will then have access to your location. So that remove exif option will remove that data, but make sure that the orientation stays the same. So, for example, that Robin image that I've updated will have that data removed. Okay, how much time have I got? Have I got any more time?
Yeah, about 5 minutes.
Okay, well, let's just quickly look at some stuff. Yeah, can I read this? Yeah. Just quick showing you a bit of uploading here. So, probably familiar with this uploading dialog. I'm just going to drop 3 images here. If I resize these, I can create resize options here. You might all know that. I'm just going to crop those. But you can also specify individual resize options for an image. So you might want that to be a splash image, but these are going to be images that are going to be laid out in the rest of the content. So you want that one to keep that size, but the rest of them to be resized to those. And so that's exactly what it'll do. Okay, you see the drip there is 1024 proportionally. The others have been resized there. Okay, and a new feature is if I can select more than one image and click this edit tool over here, I can also then resize from within there. And I can thumbnail multiple images as well.
So a lot of focus on productivity, Ryan.
Sorry?
A lot of focus on productivity in these features you're showing us today. How to do more things quickly or more easily.
Yeah, that's the idea. Like all those drag and drop things and all that stuff like that. I mean, I think that's what people really want, because it's all about how many clicks do I need to do this task.
100%.
As a developer, you don't really get that often.
Right.
I don't use the extension in the same way that anyone else does. I mean, I don't hardly use it at all in comparison to your average user. You know what I mean? I'm building it. I'm not necessarily always using it. So you don't always understand what users want. And so to get into that mindset and one of the things is, how do I do things quickly? Because that's what people need to do. Just a quick thing here. I don't know if anyone knows, but there's a nifty little image editor that's included in this whole thing. So you can do resizing and cropping, rotating. I have to move this again so I can get down to there.
Is that built into Tiny MCE also?
Sorry?
Is this built into Tiny MCE also?
No, the core Joomla one has got its own, I think.
Okay.
And Joomla 4. This is a completely different beast. I made this, so this is mine. I've actually deviated quite far from Tiny MCE now, by the way.
Oh, I see.
Quite a long time ago, I forked it, and I built my own really now. It's based on the initial code from quite a long time ago, but it's not Tiny MCE 5 or whatever it is that it's included with Joomla 4, Tiny MCE 6 now. It's not associated with that at all, really, except for a few variable names. So a few effects here. You got, you can mess around with a few things. This was just something I did for fun and hoping it would be useful for people. There it is. Okay, a few more minutes. Do I have a few more minutes?
Yeah, you got about 2 minutes if you want to show us what's coming up in the future, maybe.
Yeah, let me just, I've had a couple more things, but I'm just going to skip those because there's a kind of a cool thing called URL sync. I'm just going to insert this image quickly and show you that quickly. Right, don't worry about the layout, we're just going to quickly look at this. So if you look here, you've got this image, robin.jpg, okay? But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just go back here. I'm going to change the name of that, Robin. And I'm just going to change it to Robin Bird. Yeah, I did it my little earlier on. Now, what's going to happen is that should now have changed there.
Wow.
So you don't have to worry about updating your content anymore. If you need to move images into new folders or anything like that to organize things after you've inserted into your article, you don't have to go back and search and replace or whatever in code to do that. It'll do it for you. That's kind of a cool little thing.
Does that expand past the article I'm editing currently?
I have an experimental plugin. I think I've put it on the Widget Factory GitHub that will, for the article manager only, will search content and do it for you. But I don't like to do that sort of thing. I don't like JCE to touch the database that's outside of JCE. So it's experimental. But it searches the content and it kind of updates all those associated things. So I think it's on GitHub.
Ryan, I'm going to jump in. We're at time. A couple of questions are coming in. Can you hang out and chat with some folks and answer a few questions for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Fantastic. I would have hoped we had a little more time to chat, but this has been super interesting. Really productive, really good changes in productivity. Like you, I don't do a lot of content editing day to day either. So it's nice to see these really great productivity include. Even just a drag and drop is a big jump. That's fantastic.
Yeah. That happens for everything, by the way. It'll work for video and it'll work for, images, YouTube stuff. You just paste in the URL. Yeah, whatever you try it probably works. If you think this is how I think it should be done, maybe it works. If it doesn't, hit me up and I'll see if I can make it work like that.
Fantastic, Ryan. I'm going to bounce you out. Really appreciate it. And there's at least one question for you. Hopefully stick around. We'll chat a little more a little later.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.